Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So we have seen in the previous videos that how do we train a model and how then we use them or consume them in UiPath. We saw about the pipeline status, how to run the pipeline, how to create an ML skill, and we saw all that using sentiment analysis. But in that particular use case, we didn't actually see that how do we actually train the data. We have gone through the theoretical part in the video one, but now we'll be moving towards the practical implementation, wherein we'll be picking up a use case, which is movie feedback classifier. So whenever we watch a new movie or whenever we watch a new series, there is an option that we go and check the reviews, that whether the review is positive or whether the review is negative, and how much rating that particular movie or that particular series has got. And accordingly, we think in our mind, okay, it would be a good movie, or it would be an okayish movie, or it would be a bad movie. So we'll be implementing the same use case using our AI fabric of UiPath, and there could be many other use cases using this particular model, which we'll be seeing. It could be analyzing whether the feedback was positive, negative, or neutral, or for the review analysis, basically, that could be done for even a restaurant, even for hospitals, even for doctors. So, this particular model has a vast, you can say, reach, which does not only applies for just movies, but a lot many different things also. So it could be a consumer feedback, it could be a movie feedback, it could be a restaurant feedback, it could be a doctor's feedback, it could be a teacher's feedback. So it has a vast use case, like, yeah, vast scenarios what can be covered under this. So hence it's important. So let's just begin with. So we saw in the previous video that whenever we have to, start, like as in whenever we have to consume a UiPath ML scale or use a UiPath ML model, the first and foremost thing we do is we create an ML package. Okay. Also, if we have to train it, if it's trainable. So first let's create an ML package and check whether the package that we have created is trainable or it is not trainable. So that also we've covered in the previous video. So we'll go to out of the box packages. We'll go to language analysis. And over here, we can see English text classification. So which actually detects and classifies that the particular sentence of this particular language is positive, negative, or neutral, and with how much confidence it is classifying it. Similarly, we even have French text classification and Japanese text classification. So let's go to English text classification. And you can see here it's retrainable, which means we can train the model on the type of data we wanted to train. Now, suppose if I'm saying that the movie is okayish, and my model or my project requires that even if somebody is saying it is an okayish movie, we have to take it in a negative way. We cannot promote such movies or we cannot promote such dishes which are being rated as okayish. So accordingly, we'll have to train our model so that whenever that particular movie or that particular food is being said to be okayish or to be just normal, so we have to take it in a negative way and not in a neutral way, and we do not have to promote it. So we have to treat our model or train our model accordingly. So according to your use case scenarios and according to your need of project, you can even retrain the model. So we'll choose a package version and we'll submit. We'll name the package name as movie feedback, and as of now only there is only one version, so it would be 1.0, and we'll click on submit. So our package would be created. Now, because we'll be training our particular model, which is named as ML, a movie classifier or movie feedback. So here we have set of training data available. So we have this particular training data, which has these many things, wherein we say it's positive or it's negative. And there are more sets to train the data. And over here, you can see in none of this particular feedback, we are classifying any feedback as neutral. It has to be either positive or either negative. So that's how we are training our data to be. See, You would not find any neutral thing. So we are classifying it into two ways, positive and negative. So this is what we're going to tell our model, that you have to either classify it as positive or you have to either classify it as negative. So whenever you are training the data, as we saw in the first video, there has to be a format that the model accepts. Only then you can train the data. Otherwise, your training would fail. So for this, we have the first as input and the other as target. So even if you see here, while creating the ML package, if you go to out of the box packages, you go to language analysis, you go to English text classification. So you see that the text to be classified is should be string, and this is how you pass the string. Also, if you go to docs.uipath.com, you'll be actually able to see the number of columns that the model accepts and what should be the name of the column. Even this, it's clearly mentioned in the document. So whenever you're going to train any of the model that the UiPath provides, you have to keep in mind the type of data, that number of columns, and the name of the column it is expecting you to pass. You cannot just pass anything. Or even if you have to pass anything, like you do not want to name your column as target and input, then I have told you in the previous video how to play around environment variables. So if you go here in the input, over here you can see, and you can see the data set format of the pipelines. So it can be an input.csv with first column named input and the second column named target, or it, and if you have to pass it as review and sentiment, then you have to set your input underscore column to review and target underscore column to sentiment in the environment variable while you are creating your pipeline. So I'll even showcase that thing. So now moving forward, yeah, so now let's create our data set, upload our data set. So we come here to the data set part. Now we'll say create new, and we want to name it as train. Or over here also you can see one more thing you can do. Either you can upload the entire folder or you can upload file wise. Now over here I am able to see that there is a 5 KB file, there's a 4 KB file, and there's a 3 KB file. What I want to do is I want to create only, so there are multiple ways. Either I create a full pipeline run and I select the training data and testing data both, or I do a full pipeline run with one training data and one testing data, and then again I train it. So there could be multiple ways. Or I only train on the 5 KB data and then test it on 4 and 3 KB data. So it could be either ways, but it's better if you split it as 80 and 20, that you train on the 20 portion and you test on the 20 portion and you train on the 80%. Okay. So we're going to do this way, that we'll say train data 1. Okay. And we'll create it. So once I've created it, I'm going to upload a file over here. I'll be dragging the file here. So I'll be dragging a 5 KB file on which I'll be training it. So let me drag a 5 KB file here and I'll say upload. Now I'll come back, or I can edit the data set and upload another file. No. Okay, that's fine. So when you click on edit the data set, you can, edit the name and all. So in this particular train only, I'll upload one more file. So I'll then be training it on the 4 KB data also. Let me close it. Let me close this particular file also. It doesn't matter, वैसे, yeah, it doesn't matter even if you keep the file open, because it's not like that you're doing an Excel manipulation. So when your pipeline run is going, you have to keep your files closed. It's not like that. So even you can even, keep the Excel file open. It would cause no harm. Now I'm going to create another data set named test data, and I'll click on create and I'll name it 1. Give, meaningful names. As of now, I'm giving it test data 1, train data 1, because I do not have multiple data sets and I'll be easily able to identify which is my movie classifier data set. But I would always recommend that you give meaningful data, so that even if you are not referring to data set, someone else is referring, so that person is able to relate. Okay. So I should name test data movie classifier, something very meaningful, so that even if there's an outsider person looking at your data set, he or she is able to, very easily identify. Now I'm gonna upload the 3 KB file, and I would treat it as the testing data set. Now, once I've created my ML package, I have created my data set. The other thing is that I have to train my ML package onto this particular data set. Once the pipeline run is successful, only then I'll be able to create the ML skills. Okay, so now let's go to pipeline. Now, one thing that I wanted to show you is, when you have not run any pipeline run, when you're not training your model, you're using your model as it is. So over here, when you click on your package, you find this particular page which shows, if you go to pipeline run, so there is no pipeline run over here. So if you go to version, your version would be 1.0. As soon as I do a pipeline run, your version would change. Your version would have a minor change, and your version would go to 1.1. So whenever now you'll be deploying your ML skills, you have to make sure that you select the minor version as 1 and the major version as 1, which means you are deploying your ML skills on 1.1 and not on 1.0. If you select 1.0, you would get an error and your ML skill would not be deployed. I'll be showing that error to you, and I'll be showing that how to fix it. So now let's move forward to create the pipeline first. So I'll click on create new pipeline. I'll be doing a full pipeline run. I'll be choosing my ML package, which is movie feedback. I'll be choosing my major version to be 1 and my minor version to be 0. As of now, because I haven't done any pipeline run, I'm only getting the minor version as 0. Now I'll choose the input data set to be. So I'll go to train data 1, and that is what I'll be selecting. And I'll choose my evaluation data set to be test data movie classifier. And if I want to treat my column, if I say, as of now, my file contains input and target only. But if I want to make it as review and sentiment, so over here, I'll have to write target underscore, what was it? Input underscore column as input underscore column as review. And I'll click on add new, sorry. I'll have to first save. So I'll save input underscore column as review. I'll check this thing and I'll add new, and I'll say target underscore column as sentiment, and I'll click on OK. So now in my Excel file, it would look into, it would find review and sentiment column. It would not look for input and target. But because the Excel file that I've uploaded has input and target only, I'll delete this. So this is, I just wanted to, show it to you that how you actually do it. So I've deleted my environment variable, and I'll click on create, and I'll select run now. If you do not want to run now, you can even schedule it. You can put the date and time. If you want to recur it, like you want it to recur, you want the pipeline to run every 2 hours, you want the pipeline to run every 1 week. So you can even do that. If you go to click to choose, you can, do the days, or you can do the advanced scheduling by writing the cron expression. Same way you used to schedule your robots. So there, in the same way, you can even schedule your pipeline run. So I'll click on create. And as soon as I click on create, it would start packaging, fetching resources, and running the pipeline. Once I'm done with my full pipeline run, I can even test it. I can do a test run too. Once this particular thing, the particular pipeline run is success, then I can go on to creating an ML skill. And I have already shown that how do we create an ML skill. So I'll write movie. As of now, I'm just showing because that pipeline run may take half an hour or so to complete it. You'll select the package. You'll select the major version to be 1. and you would not get, you would only be able to see as minor version as 0 because the pipeline run is still not successful. Once the pipeline run is successful, you would be able to see here two versions, 0 and 1. So you'll have to select one, and then you'll click on create, and your ML skills would go to deploying, and then eventually from deploying they will turn out to be available. So I already had it created because the pipeline runs take time, and because it's a video that I'm covering, I cannot wait for half an hour, and you would also not wait for half an hour to, complete, see the complete run. So over here you can see movie feedback. So it's 1.1. I did a full run. I even then did a training run. So 1.1. Now what I was telling you, if you go to ML packages, now over here, if I click on movie feedback, you'll be able to see here three versions, 1.0, 1.1 and 1.2. That's because I first did a train and testing run, a full pipeline run, and then again I did a training run. So as many times as you run your pipeline, your version keeps on upgrading. So now if I go to my ML skills, the deployed version, if you see the deployed version, movie analyze underscore Anmol, you'll see the version to be 1.2, and you see the status to be available. So when you see the status to be available is when you can consume this skill of yours into UiPath Studio. So let's move to UiPath Studio now. Over here, what we'll be doing is we'll go to Chrome, we'll open imdb.com. That's what being done over here. You can see. So it's opening the browser, it's opening imdb.com. Then there is a for each loop which says for each movie in underscore movies, which is an argument which has three movies: Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and the Emoji Movie. So one by one, it would come here. It would search for the movies. It would type Game of Thrones. Then it would click on this first thing. Then as soon as the page opens, so this is the Game of Thrones page, it would click on user reviews. So once it clicks on user reviews, you can see all the user reviews, all the comments that the user has made. It would extract this text and then pass it to the our model. The model would then analyze it to be positive or negative and return to us. So that's what we're going to do here. So this particular workflow, navigate to movie IMDb page, does nothing, but it only searches for the movie name and clicks that particular movie name. That's all. Now, if you go to another one which says extract movie feedback, this particular XAML also does nothing. It clicks on user review and then it does screen scraping to extract the data. And over here, what it does is it says dot select feedback. So only select those particular rows from the data table whose feedback is not empty. So this is the sign of is not empty, and then says copy to data table. So this particular XAML actually ultimately outs a data table having the feedback. Now coming to the main wherein we'll be consuming our ML skill. So let me make another one so that you guys can see. So let's name it consume skill, and let me click on OK. Now, the first and foremost thing, you must have uipath.ml.activities, that ML service.activities, that package installed. Once you have it, now because this particular extract movie feedback has given the data table as an output, so we'll take that particular data table as input. So we'll say IO movie or feedback DT. So we'll take it as an input output. We'll mark the direction as input output, and we'll change the argument type to be data table. So we've done that. Now, what we'll do is, if I just showcase you so this is our data set. Now, this particular data table that it has given as output would have only one column, which would be feedback. So now to that same column, we'll be adding two more columns. One is classification. So what we'll be doing is we'll pick up add data column activity. So we'll say add data column, add another column to that particular activity. So we'll say to this particular data table, add one more column, name it classify or classification, and add one more column saying the confidence or the prediction, or we say accuracy percentage. You can name it anything you desire. So I name it accuracy percentage. So once I've added all these things, what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop one by one through all the rows of the data table. So I say for each row in that particular DT, so to that each row, I'll be consuming my ML skill. I'll be passing each row one by one to my ML skill. So I'll be dragging my ML skill activity. I'll drag it here and I'll search on it. And what is the name of my ML skill? So I'll pick it up from here. So the name of my ML skill activity is movie, analyze, Anmol. So where is it? I'll just copy my ML skills. So let me just copy it. I'll go back here and I'll type. So it's loading skill. You can even, so whenever you have deployed and if your skill does not reflect here, click on this refresh button and your skill would then be shown here. So I've got it. So I'll click on movie analyze. Now I have to pass the input. So my input would be row dot item 0 dot toString. So because my first column as in always the first column has the feedback that I have to pass, and then I'll get a JSON response. So I'll save the response in say control K response. So I have saved my response as well. So I've got my response here. Now what I'll get it as, I'll get a JSON as response and I'm gonna deserialize that particular response. So I'll drag in a deserialized JSON and I'll pass it as response as input and I'll take out the output in J object. Okay, I have mistyped it as to be H object. Let me go here and change it to J object. So now I've got the response in a JSON object. So I've deserialized my JSON. And now what I'm going to do is I'll be assigning this thing to the rows. So I'll drag now to assign activities. Now to row 1 or row dot item 1. Which means now to the first column, which is classify, I have to assign. Now let me just open a notepad to show it to you. Now what I'm doing here is I have one thing, or it's better if I open an Excel. Now see what is there. If you're facing difficulty to understand, let me help you visualize it. So my first column has feedback, and this is what I've extracted from the imdb.com. So if there is a person who has given this feedback, I love this movie. Now to this particular data table or to this particular Excel, I am adding two columns using add data column, say classify and say accuracy percentage. Now, what I'm doing in the workflow is one by one, I'm reading all the rows. I am passing this particular, the first column feedback to my ML skill. And now my ML skill in JSON response is returning me the classification, whether it's positive and negative, and the confidence value or the accuracy percentage. And once I have received it in a JSON object, I have to even add it here. So that's what I'm doing using assign. So what I'm doing is in row.item add JSON object, and to this particular thing add, if you are facing any confusion that what would it be returning, you can just take a look at the docs and it will all be clear. So if this is what you're passing, you're getting the response as, where is it? Class and confidence. So I'll be pasting the confidence and the class. So it's class dot toString, and in row dot item 2 I'll be pasting j object and the key value as confidence and dot toString. So once I've done this consume skill thing, I'm going to write that thing to a CSV and then I'm going to close the tab. So let me now try running this thing to showcase it to you. Now if you see here, this is the data set and this is where the output would be saved. In this particular folder, there our output would be saved. So if I click on run, also if you want you can put a write line here to check also, but let me open the main file and click on run. And let's wait for our output to be generated. It's opening imdb.com. I'm facing. So now it's searching for the movies and that movie feedback page is loading and it is loaded. So it would click on user reviews and then would do the screen scraping to, extract all those reviews. And yeah, then let's just wait for it to run. So it has, loaded the user reviews page, would extract one by one all the reviews to save it in the Excel at last. And if you can just go back to the output thing and wait for that file to be generated and to be saved here. Usually it does not take this much time, but because my internet connection is way too weak today. So yeah, I'm just hoping for it to run so that I can show you. It is still getting stuck somewhere. I don't know where because I'm not able to see anything. So yeah, hoping for it to run. So yeah, the file has been generated and saved here. You can see feedback underscore the movie name. Similarly, it would do for all other 3 movie names that we have passed. I think maybe we have, played around with the run. Now it is searching for the second movie, which is the Harry Potter. It is extracting the reviews and passing it to ML skill, and in turn waiting for the ML skill to analyze and give the output back so that it can save here. So there's very less of the UI interaction though. The other part, the analyzing part, once it is extracted the reviews, all other things would happen in background, and it really does not matter if you just move the cursor and all until unless it is extracting. So as of now it must be analyzing it using the ML skill, and once it's done with it, it would save it here. And once it saves the second movie, I'm going to stop it because it's taking too long, and then I'll be opening the file and showing it to you that how actually the run is, or I can do it right away, I think. So over here you can see it's feedback, it's classify, and it's confidence. So that's what we passed. So for some particular feedback, it has even, classified it with 100% confidence. Wherever you see 1, it is 100% confidence. So with 100% confidence, it has extracted everything. And it's with 99.8%, 99.8%, 99.9%. So it has classified it all. And yeah, so now it has even completed for Harry Potter 1 with positive or negative feedback, some with 100% confidence it has extracted. I watched all Harry Potter movies when I was 7 years old. After 5 years, I watched the movie again at first book. So it is, it is very positive. So it has extracted it with 100% confidence. Let me again, tell you this thing. None of the model can extract or can predict everything with 100% accuracy. There could be minor errors. There could be that it may have classified it as wrong. But it all depends on how well you do the training, like it happens with us even. So yeah, now it is doing for the last movie, I think the emoji movie, and it would extract it and save it here. So that's how we use the text classification, English text classification model to do the review analysis. It could be of a restaurant, it could be of a doctor, it could be of teacher, it could be of a mentor, it could be of a restaurant, hospital, anything. So it has this vast usage in almost all the, you can say, sectors. And obviously UiPath has made it very easy. We did not have to do any coding, and it was all just drag and drop and we were done with it. And now it has even done with feedback emoji, and now the execution has stopped. So this is how you can consume the ML skill over here in UiPath Studio while making it in AI Fabric. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching the video. And in the next video, we'll be covering some more of the ML skill models, how to use them and how to utilize them, and what are their use cases. So till then, stay tuned and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Happy automation.